It is a real pleasure to sit down with the three of you today. What you've created here is absolutely beautiful. It's so, so special. And I'm sure without a doubt, over the years, many opportunities have been presented for you to do something similar to this. So why now? Why was this different?
If we were ever going to do this, we knew as a trio that we needed it to be comprehensive and raw, unflinching, as full and deep a view of a very human life and a human story as possible.
I think a hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles.
I wouldn't have missed this for the world.
And over the years, different things had maybe bubbled up, but it just wasn't the right time for one reason or another.
Yeah.
I think we knew at this point in our lives, we each have so much going on. We're fully grown and mostly fully functional adults.
Y'all are doing very well, okay?
And the team came together in a way that we believed in their vision and their approach and said, go for it, and they did.
Well, they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, we're just grateful to be a part of it and participating, sitting for interviews and handing over our home movies and seeing what path they took has been an ultimately incredibly rewarding experience.
She came flying in and she just yelled, "I love you, I love you."
And then she said the words that saved my life. You're still you, and I love you.
And we knew and have known for our whole lives that the Christopher Reeve story and the Dana Reeve story and the Reeve family story is one not only worth telling from our perspective for ourselves and for our family and friends and future generations, but we felt pretty confident and we feel pretty confident that the world, audiences will take meaning from this. It's a human story that runs the full spectrum of emotional experience. And each person who sees this film will take something from it.
Yeah.
I can't say what it will be for each person, but there is something in this for every person to reflect on their own life, to think about their loved ones and people they've lost and people that they haven't yet met and what might be possible.
Brother Chris is fighting like crazy. When you find people who fight like that but still keep their humanity, that gives you great hope.
There's so many layers to this and so many layers to the two people that were so prominent in your lives. Was there something revealed to you in the making of this, either sitting down and speaking about Christopher and Dana on camera or something that you listened to someone else say that was revealed to you you'd never known until this experience?
Well, to be honest, actually, it was hearing Will and Alexandra tell their stories. We hadn't really, sort of ever sat down like this before. So hearing Alexandra and Will tell their stories in their interviews and hearing certain events or experiences was new and was revealed. We hadn't done that before. Those are the moments in the film that sort of hit me the most when I hear from these guys.
He and Robin were such good friends because they could match each other. Robin also had struggles that he dealt with his whole life, and I think that they both were aware of darkness.
I mean, we hear from the three of you, but we also hear from a slew of famous faces. I mean, from Susan Sarandon, Glenn Close, to the late, great Robin Williams, some very intimate moments between him and your father. How surreal is this to see these celebrities taking part in this film, not only taking part in it, but they're not only your friends, they clearly are your forever family.
It's so beautiful that they participated, but also I think is meaningful to show because this isn't famous people hanging out with famous people for celebrity's sake. These were Dad's friends and his coworkers talking about the person that they knew. And so as a kid, it feels really lucky to hear people telling that side of him. I'll say the other piece that we loved seeing in this film is folks capturing the time before any of us were around, when he's a young upstart actor in his 20s.
That confidence and that swag, let me tell you.
He was very skinny.
Yes, this is pre-Superman. He had to bulk up.
The film has the original Superman screen test, the first time that he ever put on that famous blue suit and red
And
cape.
he looks like this, not like this.
Some arms going on.
He had a ways to go.
And got the armpit sweat happening.
Yes.
And to show that within this film is such a treat because it's amusing, it's also illuminating that wow, he really had to work to go from what he was and just a young man full of potential into what he ultimately became.
Superman really was the man.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me. Who's got you?
Now, when discussing the accident, it was revealed, I feel like, really that just how much horse riding was a passion of your father's, and it really extended to the entire family. After the accident, how did that change?
I actually kept riding all through my teenage years, and I have photos to this day of Dad coming to horse shows and being supportive like that. And I look back on that now. You know, as a teenager, we took that for granted. That was just Dad showing up and being supportive.
Right.
You look back now and think, man, you know, that really was him putting aside any of his own personal feelings to be there for his kids. But it was part of his legacy, you know, it was part of it. He found so much joy there and found a way of connecting with a whole different community and a way of driving his intensity into a new sport. And so we managed to kind of keep that up as part of what we did, even though, of course, it was no longer a big activity for him.
Whenever he got into something, like he got into it. Whether it was like flying, sailing, or skiing, or scuba diving, or windsurfing, or
He was just a passionate guy.
He just did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
stuff, and he did it with like at
the highest level.
Doing things with my dad, it was all about activity and action. Riding bikes, playing soccer, skiing.
My dad was very competitive, and he didn't necessarily slow down.
We said goodbye, and he gave this wave. That was the last time I saw him on his feet.
Well, and it was interesting how that really changed because his world was rocked after this accident. So then it was more about personal experiences for him than doing and the activities and things like that. And he really found like a deeper relationship with the three of you after the accident.
Yeah, absolutely. That relationship changed, but that intensity he then brought to advocacy and to fighting for research dollars and to taking on insurance companies and to improving the lives of others in similar situations and doing whatever he could. I mean, it was that intensity he maintained for sure.
And thank goodness it did.
And he brought that also to helping me with my homework or coming to school plays or waking up at 4 in the morning on Christmas because it took him 2 hours to get out of bed to make sure that I had a traditional for us early morning
experience,
Christmas experience. Like everything he did fully as himself and brought all of himself to everything, and it just manifested in different forms post-accident versus pre-accident. He was still very much the same man, just in a different physical form.
You have a child that's around the age Will was when this happened, so how has this life experience really influenced your outlook on parenthood in particular?
It's given me now a newfound appreciation for how hard it must have been for him. I mean, to not be able to, pick up Will when he was, 3, 4, and 5, and to have some of that, physical contact that comes with being a parent to a young child, whether it's doing sports together or just carrying them or comforting them when they're hurt or sad, and understanding how hard that must have been for him. And then how that affects me is really, now in present day, is really to just have an immense amount of gratitude for
just the little things in life.
Absolutely. And we've had that, I think, since the accident.
Yeah.
Just an appreciation and for the present and for what we do have.
Yeah.
I would like to add, as a proud brother, Alexandra and Matthew are tremendous parents, and it makes me so proud as a brother to see how great they are as parents. And I'm a proud uncle, and I try to pass it along, but just seeing them, they are carrying on the family legacy as parents, instilling proper values in their children in such a magical, inspiring way that I just want to make sure that everyone knows they're doing a great job.
They're not
because they're never going to brag about it.
Of course not, but their brother has to.
Yeah, exactly.
Has to be their hype man.
Exactly.
And got to hype you up, because one of the last things you told your father was you want to do whatever you can do to make him proud.
Yeah, as any child does, wants to make their dad proud.
What do you think Pops would think of you? I think he'd...
I hope we'll never know, right? I think that's an important distinction, that I can live according to my parents' values, but I can never know exactly how I'm doing. What are they judging me? No, I don't think so. As long as I live according to the values that they instilled in me, that's what makes any parent proud of their child. And we all were encouraged as kids to follow wherever our passion took us, follow it that way.
Yeah.
And I think I'm doing all right, but I'm still searching, and I always will be. I overthink everything. But no, I think that they would be proudest of the way that we try our very best to do our very best on any given day.